We're Susanna and Luke, Sulu for short. We love everything camping, hiking, and outdoors. We ambitiously challenged ourselves to build our own truck cap for our adventures, so we turned this F-150 open cap into a hardshell topper. We have little to no fabrication experience, but that didn't stop us. We learned everything along the way. We poured our blood, sweat, and tears into it and can't wait to show you the journey. We have future plans to add a rooftop tent, so stick around to see if we can do it. This is part 2 of building a truck cap for our Ford F-150. Just a disclaimer, this is not instructions how to do it, this is just showing you what we've done. In part 2, we show you how we make this metal frame, which pretty much makes the house of our cap. We sourced our steel square tube from Metal Supermarket, which is a local company that has all things metal. I think a lot of Home Depots and Lowe's and Rona's actually have a lot of these supplies, but these guys were great because we were able to just order our measurements and they cut it for us. We used 1 3/4 inch steel tubing for this part. Here's my very amateur drawing to show you and give you a gist of what's happening here. So you need to build a frame that is 2 levels, a bottom and a top. You'll have to get enough steel tubing to build that frame. The top is a full rectangle, whereas the bottom is actually open on one side, and I'll explain why in a bit. And then you need to get connecting pieces that will bring your top on your bottom frame, which just looks like legs in my picture. And then in the pink here is our crossbars. This gives you a bit more support and makes everything more sturdy, so you need enough tubing for that too. Once we had all of our pieces, we laid it out onto our wood jig just to see what we were working with. We didn't weld or attach anything yet. This is why you need the wood jig completed before you start this step. We had to measure and cut the connecting pieces between the top and bottom frame. Luke did this with a metal saw and then grinded it off so that the edges were nice and smooth. We cleaned and buffed and stripped all edges of our tubing before moving on. Okay, so this is what you use. It's called an angle grinder, and it has a 4.5 inch strip disc on it. Very rough and gritty. Here's a side-by-side comparison on the left before stripping and on the right after we've cleaned them up. You can really tell the difference. This next part is absolutely the worst, but so important. It's making sure your frame is completely level and square. Every side needs to be level. Every corner needs to be a 90-degree angle. Just stare at the level a little bit longer, and Luke swears it helps. And when you think you've got it, check again, because you probably don't. Every millimeter counts, and for some reason, things just shift even when you haven't touched it.
It looks square. It's tough to tell because like even the metal itself has a little bit of warping and stuff to it. And I've checked that it's level here and it's level there and it's level between them. So I think it's just time to send it. And like
when you're ready to send it, you're going to start with tack welds. These are temporary small welds just to make sure things are set before you do the full weld. Once you've tacked all of your corners, you will very carefully move it onto the truck to do a dry fitting. Make sure the tailgate can open and close and that everything is measuring up. Once that passed the test for us, Luke did the full welds. He is completely self-taught and watched a lot of videos, took hours and hours of practicing to be able to do this, but no, he is not an actual welder. And then it was my job to grind out the corners so they were nice and smooth and file out any bumps or ridges that would just make things aesthetically not nice. And then we repeated that whole process for the top frame. Again, this one is a fully closed in rectangle. And then we added the connecting pieces to the top and bottom. We wanted a very large top platform because we're going to create a sleeping area with our rooftop tent. This part was actually so exciting. It started to look like an actual truck cap. We did another dry fit to make sure everything was in line and in place for the truck, but we also couldn't wait to just see how it looked. The last part of this project was actually adding the crossbars for additional support, which we did out of 1x1 steel tubing.
This is where we're at, you guys. We've made the steel frame for the cap, and we're going to move on to the next step, which would be to start drilling some holes, measuring and drilling for all of the attachment points for panels, for seeing where we need to have clamps and weld on a couple of spots to be able to attach this to the truck. We do want it to be removable, so it's not going to be bolted directly down, but using truck clamps. And we need to prime and paint this sucker. So we're going to bring you on to the next steps, but if you've made it this far, doesn't it feel great? Because we're feeling very accomplished. We're going to have to do a couple of tests to see how strong this thing is, like holding our weight, jumping on it, make sure we're structurally sound before we go into our next steps. But we're pretty much there.
In the next video, we drill our attachment points, cut and measure our panels, paint and attach the panels. We're so excited to show you the progress. Let us know if you have any questions and don't forget to subscribe.